free blog? Did somebody say rage free blog? Oh god, Jesus Christ. That was such a dog shit entrance. We don't talk about that. Alright folks, so if it looks like I just woke up, it's because I basically just woke up. But I saw that they released the Raids Free blog, and I was like, I need to make a video on this as soon as possible. This has been something I've been looking forward to for so long. I kind of wish it came out sooner, because this would have been such a nice thing to talk about during the podcast, but we're here now. I have the shit up, so we can get into it right now. I don't think my camera is going to block anything, but anyway, let's jump right into it. I already kind of looked over some stuff, but I haven't like taken a full in-depth read on everything just yet. But let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so we haven't forgotten about the Tombs of Amascut War Rewards, thank God. In fact, we've been discussing your feedback at length. However, in January, a new piece of content dropped that made us rethink a few of our decisions next. Yeah, I kind of knew that with how the rewards at Next went, they were going to really rethink stuff, because what they did with Next, minus maybe the fucking Ancient Brew, felt so good. Like, everything felt really good. The Ancient Hell was the only thing that I wasn't too happy about, but this is mainly because they were trying to advertise that as a PvP item and not really a PvM item. But I still felt it would have been nice to have like another spec weapon alternative to Dragon Claws. It's like really good, but at the end of the day, I'm just a PvM whore. Alright, let's see. What's changing? Alright, so they present us with some work in progress images of the wand and the ward. I think it is fine. It looks very unique. Look at that shit. It's like a fucking... It's like Zora. You're literally holding Zora in your hand. Alright, so let's start off with Masori. So they decided to opt into the option where you can use it without having defensive stats, aka 80 range and 30. But you can upgrade it using Armadillo now, which I think is... it's really good. So they don't have that glass cannon shit anymore unless you want to do some like weird ass pure build. So I really like this approach, especially the fact that now you can upgrade it with Armadillo. But let's look at the stats. Okay, so 12, 43, 27, and that's the base version. And now if you break down Armadillo, you get plates, and then you just upgrade the armor with set plates. And then this is the stats of it upgraded. So low defense, high offense, making it best choices of an offense range build, while the upgraded version will be the new best in stat range gear in all categories. Now, let's look at the differences. So it has more stab accuracy, more slash accuracy, more crouch accuracy, more mage accuracy. Wait, what? Oh shit, I didn't even realize it has like it has much less of a drain on mage accuracy, but I doubt anyone's actually going to be maging in this gear. And the other thing too is like, look at the offensive bonuses on it, just in like the melee departments. This is actually going to be so good for people that are doing like melee hybrid shit at Next, because now people use Carols, and it'll also be good for Corp. So that's actually really good. Holy fuck, I didn't even realize that. Just looking back at it now, huh? But not looking at just the niche stuff though, it is just a hard upgrade to Armadillo. I think Void Range will still have its place in any encounter that has like low defense, so it'll still be used at top. But it's still nice to see Armadillo, like something finally being a little bit better than Armadillo. This shit's gonna be so fucking good for CMs, dude. Like, it's gonna be so good. And I could probably see it being good for actually, wait, no. I could definitely see it being really good for Inferno. What am I saying? Especially, like, look, no negatives for the melee stats, too. The only thing now is that you might need to do a little bit more flicking, because you have a little bit less prayer bonus now, but I think people can make up for it with the new accuracy and the increased damage, too, because it does have increased range strength as well. So, my thoughts on it is I like the approach. Having like the two split options of like, do you want to do 30 defense low build, or do you want to have like the good shit, the fucking actual upgrade to Armadillo. I think that's a good approach. What else do I want to say about it? Because I feel like there's one more thing I want to say. Okay, this is more just like a personal thing. So I'm just hoping that the armor looks good because they hadn't really presented too much. I think they might have presented like a piece of concept art like earlier in one of the blogs, and it looked like some fucking... I don't know. I just want it to look really good, okay? Because if this shit's gonna be replacing Nex for... Not Nex, but like Pernix for a while, because I've always wanted to have Pernix in old school. I like the look of Pernix. I'm just hoping that this armor looks like it looks super good. But that's just me. Outside of the looks, the stats are fantastic. I think this is good. I think this is really good that they're actually putting in best in stat shit. So, yeah, I'm happy with the armor. Alright. Now we're actually going to look at the Heka and the ward. I don't really think there's much to say about the ward because the ward is literally just an arcane upgrade. Now, the Heka, they decided to do something a lot different with it. So it still has that same... Alright, you do a couple of low attacks, and then your last attack is like a big attack, right? So you can see here. 20, 20, 20, and then 60. So 2, 2, 2, 4. So that means, in total, it is a 10-tick weapon. Or at least to complete the whole cycle, it's a 10-tick weapon. So yeah, that's a good thing. And here's the newest example of how damage will be calculated. So yeah, that's how the damage is calculated. Mage Strength no longer applies uniquely to the Heka. Not sure what that means. I would probably have to look into it a bit more, but let's look at the new effect that they decided to add to it. So yeah, they said it was lacking something, right? They wanted to make it feel special, because you know how Twisted Bow, it's super strong against any target that has high magic level, and then you have the Scythe, which is really good against anything that's like big and weak to melee, right? So what they decided to do is they added special properties based on what spellbook you're on. I'm kind of wondering how this is going to work with spellbook swap, because does this mean like if you spellbook swap, right? Does that mean for that duration you have that whatever effect that you want? Because I could see people spellbook swapping to specific things and just camping that spellbook for the sole purpose of getting that the added bonus, right? But the standard spellbook, 10% boosted damage, I think is fair. The ancient spellbook, the spell will hit into a 3x3 area of effect. Okay, this one scares me a little bit because, okay, mostly just for hard mode top Nilo, because if people are using that shit and that shit procs, does that mean you're gonna take an assload of damage from the wrong Nilos? Like, if you hit the wrong Nilos, that means you're gonna take an assload of damage. So that's like my only concern in that department, but otherwise I think it's fine. Lunar Spellbook, okay, this one's weird, right? Heal allies by 5% of your current magic level rounded down along the path of the projectile. And on top of that, it increases the range by 1. So I think this does mean that you might be able to long range with it, but I'm not sure. And when I say long range, I mean like, if you're in like Ohm, right? I think that means you can sit there super far away in long range as the melee tank, which was a problem before, right? And on top of that, the projectile's also traveling along and probably healing anyone in that first row. So I think it's a very interesting approach. I'm not entirely sure if this is something that'd be able to replace Sang staffs and chambers, because it's only like one person doing it. And Sangs are still super good, but we'll see. I mean, it is the best in stat mage weapon. So, people will probably make something happen. Like, whether it's just make more brews or something, I think people will figure out a method. Now, the one that I'm more interested about is this one, okay? You lose 3 prayer points, and the boost is not permanent and will be lost after a period of time. But you drain 5% of the NPC's magic level up to 20%. And you also boost your own magic level by 50%. So I'm thinking that having a lot of people camping Arceus would be super good. And if the spellbook swap shit works the way I think it works, then people will just camp Lunars and just spellbook swap. Like, the meta right now is that you have 3 people on Lunars with spellbook swap. You have 1 person on Surge and you just have 1 person camping Arceus right now, right? So I think that shit would be disgusting. Just think of it like this, right? Mage Hand at Olm's fucking magic level gets fucking dropped on top of your own magic level increasing, right? So does that mean it's also going to increase your damage too? Because if it's increasing your damage, holy fuck. Well, let me think. Actually, I'm not sure if that's the case. You're already 120, so I don't think there's any point of that, right? But let me think. Okay, so capped at 50% additional magic level. If it's 50% of your own magic level, that would be, what, like 15 levels? So you're racing at 120, unless it's like some sort of invisible boost shit. But maybe I shouldn't think too hard about it, but either way, like, the fact that it's already draining magic level is already good because it's going to increase your accuracy. And the Mage Hand can be a fucking tank sometimes, so yeah, just in like the CM5's like team setting, I think it'd be really good. It might be good for Nilo boss too, because we don't have a... Right now, the problem is we don't have like a 5-tick cycle weapon for Mage, so usually you'll use something like... I'll use something like the Blowpipe to kind of gain back any like extra... Or like use up those extra ticks you get from Tridening, right? So it might be the play now, just using that instead of just like Trident, and then like trying to throw in a Blowpipe or a Chalde or some shit to use up those extra 2 ticks you get. But yeah, just keep in mind that it says it's dependent on spellbook and alongside the 4th more powerful attack, allowing more options for your build. So I think it's only on the 4th attack, right? So 4th attack here, 4th attack there. Actually, wait. Let me double check that. Yeah, so now unleash a special effect depending on spellbook or tune 2 alongside 4th more powerful. Yeah, so I'm assuming it's just talking about the 4th attack. Minus this, right? Yeah, see, it says this applies to all attacks, not just the 4th. So I'm assuming like this is for just the 4th attack. Okay. If I end up being wrong and it's for every attack, that's gonna be fucking insane. But yeah, I think that what they're doing with the wand is interesting. I like it. I can't wait to see it in action. That's for sure. But it'll be interesting to see how like it changes the metas for like, let's say, Tob and CM, and maybe it'll definitely affect it for other stuff too, like Zora and shit. But I don't really care that much about Zora. It's Zora, dude. Like, come on, who cares about Zora? I'm sorry for anyone that actually cares about Zora, but it's just I'm a Raid Zandy, okay? Off me. Okay, so Ward, nothing really has changed. Players without these stats can pay, okay. Arcane and 10,000 Sovereigns, alright, so basically Sovereigns are gonna go up. Make sure you stock up on your Sovereign, boys. Oh yeah, this is just saying you can use the broken one, but obviously the broken one won't be as good. This one. Makes me wonder if it will see any use in Inferno instead of Ellie. Just because then you can just like have a higher chance of like one-shotting the nibs with like Blood Barrage or Ice Barrage, but then again, like if you're speedrunning, you're gonna be using Chins anyway, so I doubt it. Alright, so this thing. I don't think anything has really changed with Thorn. This is the one item that I am probably the most excited about because this shit is actually game-changing, okay? So I think I've said it many times on stream before, but the Light Bearer, if you're using it in CM, allows you to use a lot of fucking Spec in a lot of places, right? So now we have the ZCB, which is considered like the Dragon Claws of range, right? So I'm thinking you could bring that with Bolts and a Light Bearer, and then you could just ZCB Spec the fuck out of the portal, right? If you have 4 people ZCB Specking the fucking portal, that shit's gonna die so fast, and you won't need to use as much restore because of the fucking sheer power of that Spec. Then again, if you noodle with it, then it sucks, but it's really high accuracy and fucking really hits hard. And on top of the new range armor too, like, man, like, I think Light Bearer is just a good ring. And on top of that, you can also use it when you're just maging at Ulm for like an increased amount of specs. And if you're really down bad on specs, I'm not sure if it'd be worth doing this. I'm pretty sure it probably would because low defense is really good. You would just scythe with the Light Bearer on because that way you can get more specs for future phase. Could also see some stuff like Dragon Warhammering the Mystics or Dragon Warhammering Mutt, and then everyone just sipes it, as just a couple things people can do. Then again, you do have the 1, so it might not be as necessary, and just like missing or wasting Spec like that might not be as good, because you have Ohm coming up next, right? So it might just be better for you to sit at 100, and then just, you know, use your Spec there, and then just camp Lightbearer, get your Spec up while you're maging, and then just swap to your Brimstone or Berserker Ring. But yeah. So yeah, just to go over what it does, I don't think I really explained it. It doubles your Spec regen, but if you like put it on, take it off, it'll reset it. So you'll have to camp it. So yeah, I think that this ring is gonna be insane. I know at Tom, you could also maybe use it at Sode if you miss Specs, but I don't know about that one. Someone needs to like pull out the Sims real quick to see, is it worth, if you don't have, or like the calculations only, like if you don't have the specs that you need, is it worth for you to just camp Lightbearer instead of Berserker Ring? That's probably what I'm thinking. It might be good, but I can't guarantee that right now. But it'll be good for P1, that's for sure. Just being able to spit out more Dawnbringers at a faster time. Holy. So yeah, I think it'll be a good ring. I think it has like a lot of uses, and it'll be interesting to play around with it in this, for CMs especially. Okay, so the Fang. I think this one is something that I've heard a lot of people kind of like about. I think with its stats and the fact that it's supposed to be pretty good against like high defense targets, this is gonna end up being the best in stat weapon against Nex, because already Nex is weak against Rapier, right? So having this is going to be...
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I got kicked by my grandma. But anyway, I think that this weapon is going to be the best in stat for Nex, because what is Nex? It is a high defense target. And on top of that, it lets you do melee and do like a step under, so you're setting her attacks to 5 tick instead of every 4 ticks. So I think that this weapon will be really good. On top of that, one new aspect of the Fang is more similar to the Crystal Halberd and Bearer Spears. This weapon will deal full damage to the Corporal Beast when on stat. In addition, we will be removing the 50 damage cap that Corp currently has. Now you've got a weapon great for taking on Old Corp. So this is going to be the best in stat weapon for Corp. I don't think this weapon is supposed to be in any way like some god tier super weapon. This is just what feels like a niche weapon that'll be good for Corp and Nex. Like 2 encounters that are done like... I know Nex is done on a very active basis, right? Like whenever I get home from work, I've been potting a lot of it still. I just haven't had a lot of time to pot it recently, just because IRL's been busy. But other than that, yeah, I think this weapon... I think it's an okay weapon. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be anything crazy, anything special. I think it's okay. Right? And there's more. Okay, so we got a stat renewal potion. The only thing about it is it doesn't boost your stats back up to, like, whatever you boost it with. So, like, let's say you're 112, right? It's not going to boost you 112. It's just going to boost you up to, like, 99, pretty much. So, I think this potion is okay. I read some things that a lot of Oblivion players said, and that was something along the lines of, oh, let's just have overloads come into the game, right? We're ready for it. We're ready for it. You know, we have Nex in the game. Bring out overloads. Bring out overloads. I think that their approach of, like, slowly building up to that overload is completely fine, because I think that's something that has been said by them, where they're just introducing components for overload slowly but surely. Because... well, let's be real, okay? If they bring in overloads, like the whole game is just changed, like completely, okay? What happens in Inferno? You could brew like a lot more instead of just chugging a brew and sipping resource. It'd be brewing on 15s, right? Then again, brew is a limited resource, so that'd only be for people who aren't very confident in sitting at low HP. But Tob, right? Tob would become Chambers, brew at every 15, right? And then for Chambers, I wonder what kind of shit that you could end up doing with this. Because I'm assuming it won't be as good as a Chambers Overload, right? And if it ends up being as good as a Chambers Overload, then what the fuck? That's gonna make it very interesting for like, what do you think? For no preps, I wonder if this means you can skip out on planning a Nox entirely in Chambers. And I'm trying to think. There's like one more thing I'm thinking about. This is probably just more for like Ultimate Iron Man or Iron Man as a whole too. That now you don't have to worry about them getting the Overload Tecton drop for the start of CMs, because a lot of those runs when you're trying to go for like a CA time, it kind of requires them to get the drop, and it can be kind of annoying for all the resetting. But like I said, I'm not sure. That's probably looking really deep into the future. I do think it is nice to kind of like slowly but surely step toward the point of overloads, because right now I feel there's not really any point of training Herblore unless you're an Iron Man, right? Because you can just buy the pots. So I'm hoping that this will be more incentive for people to train up their Herblore by introducing these pots that are, make sense to be in a recipe for an overload. And then in the future, introduce a way of making overloads, and ideally it's untradeable. So that way, everyone has incentive to train Herblore. Because, like I said, outside of maybe maxing, there's not really much point in training it. Outside of, like, I guess, like, diary requirements, right? So, yeah. But anyway, let's look at this real quick. So, stat renewal has the same stat renewal aspect of overload, so every 15 seconds, pretty much. 5 minutes. Effect would restore 16% of your skill level plus 6. So, yeah. That's basically it. Pharaoh Scepter Teleport. One more treat while you're here. As we were raiding in the desert, we want to give players an easy way to get to it. So they're just adding it to the to the Pharaoh Scepter. Okay. Use a scepter on an obelisk outside the raid entrance, and you'll be granted an additional teleport close to the raid. This will only be... Okay, so you need to complete Beneath Her Sands. If this passes, we'll also tidy up the right-click menu so you have the teleport and teleport to previous options. Okay. So I think that's fine. I think that's completely fine. So they didn't really say anything in regards to the, what was it, that one weapon that you get but you can tweak, which is a reward from, I believe it is a reward from that new quest. I believe it's a reward from the new quest. So it's the one that has, like, it's a really good quest weapon against, like, cow fights and stuff, because it's like an upgrade to your Kyrus, right? So they didn't make much mention about the partisans. I think they're okay with where partisans are right now. I don't think they scrapped it. It'd be odd for them to scrap, because I thought that was a really good idea, introducing, like, a very niche weapon that actually works pretty well in the raid, right? I think you got to do the quest anyway to, do the raid, but yeah. I think that basically sums it up for the whole, Tombs of Amascut Raids Rewards Part 2. But to give you my summary of my thoughts, I know this is very rambly. Like I said, I just got up, I saw this, I want to make a video like ASAP. Because I want to get out my thoughts about this like soon. So. But to kind of give you my thoughts, I think I'm pretty happy with everything in this blog. I don't think there's anything I'm really just like upset about, because you still got your niche shit, right? You got your super niche shit, which is good in some places, right? And that's with the Fang. You have your best in stat range gear, and that's with the Masori armor instead of that low life. They completely scrapped low life, which kind of sucks. I felt it would have been kind of nice if they did like a low life approach, kind of similar to that one effect in Shattered Leagues where it's like it kind of ramps up the lower your HP is. It'd be nice to have a ramp up for that, but either way, I still think it is good that they're just scrapping it and introducing BIS armor. The other thing I think is pretty nice is that they're also giving you two options of going glass cannon if you're like a pure, or if you want the actual best in stat, then you just upgrade it with Armadillo. I think that's completely fine. I like that. I think the one is in a better spot too, with the extra effects added to it. That's basically it, right? I don't really think there's really much else to talk about. They didn't really make any changes about Light Barrier. They're keeping it as a reward. It's good. But that's basically it, right? So yeah, that's it. I'm happy with it. Let me know how you guys feel about it though, because I'm kind of curious to see what your guys' thoughts are. It is kind of interesting to see them add in like another potion to this, so it does make me think that they are serious about eventually adding like overloads in the future, right? We had that ancient brew shit come from Nex. Something tells me that's gonna end up being a part of an overload recipe, right? But hard to say. Like imagine if they used like all the brews, Sarah brew, Zami brew, the new spec pot, or not the spec pot, but the restore pot. What do you call a spec pot? Stat renewal. Okay, the new stat renewal pot, just all the brews. But then again, I'm not completely sure what the recipe would be for it anyway. But this would probably be a core part of it. So. Yeah, that's basically it, though. I'm gonna probably end it off. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll probably be reading the comments for the next couple of days and giving you guys like some replies, because I think this is good. I think this is really good. I haven't really looked at Reddit too much just yet. I should probably go through that now. But it'll be interesting to see some of the stuff that I see on Reddit. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this shitty ramble. This is the first time I've actually just sat here and rambled. At least for a YouTube video, because I've done like live rambles before on my stream. I remember when I was looking through the first rendition of the reward plug, and I was just like, yeah, this fucking sucks. So this is great. Alright, I'm gonna end the recording. I'm gonna go make some quick edits to this stuff because my grandma ganked me, so that'll just like completely cut the flow of it. But yeah, see you guys. Thank you for tuning in.